Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Johnson, I'd like to spend most of my time, if not all my time, visiting with you. Do you believe that a breach of information involving the number of someone's calls could maybe lead to theft or financial fraud? You mentioned about the cell phones a while ago. Do you see this could maybe cause a bigger problem down the road?
Let me make sure I understand your question. Could a breach of call data
of information, the breach of information involving the number of someone's call, could this lead to a bigger problem?
I guess let me not engage in hypotheticals, but I guess you could come up with some scenarios in which a breach of non-financial telecom information.
Well, I mean, when you open that box, it leads down a road that is unknown. Like you said, you're being hypothetical on it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Obviously, we want to protect the consumer. It's tragic what you brought up a while ago. I think most of us here have read about that. We want to be able to protect people. I live way out in the middle of nowhere. My driveway is literally a mile long. The only way I get cell phone coverage is with the antenna that goes up my chimney. And I would want someone to be able to respond. There is no 911 address where I live. Right. And I get that, but at the same time, I don't want to open it up to exposing us to even a bigger risk. All of us live in fear of fraud. The first time I had experience with that, someone went to school on my Social Security number in California. At that time, I hadn't even been to California. And I got a phone call wanting to know what's happened. So it's something that we need to worry about. Going on, you pointed out in your testimony, under the proposed bill, the FCC could lose rulemaking authority over data security. Has the FCC been effective in using the authority to protect consumers in the 21st century?
I would say, sir, that this will always be, as a cybersecurity focus of my work is cybersecurity and has been for years. This will always be a work in progress.
Right.
We're not going to solve this problem. But I would say that I have, since I've been at the FCC, I've been very impressed with the clarity of the expectations that have developed, particularly on Section 222.
Well, do you know how many regulatory documents the FCC has published since '96?
I don't know. You mean new rules?
Yeah, new rules.
We're committed to providing a fulsome list of not just rules but activities.
Well, according to the Federal Registry, the FCC has published nearly 14,000 rules since '96.
Pertaining to
no
overall.
Overall, do you know how many of those pertain to our 21st century security issues that we're having? I
would have a ballpark, but it sounds like you
give me a ballpark. I don't, because seriously, we did a lot of research trying to find it, and I really could not find it. In fact, my follow-up was, could you provide the information for me?
There have been a few rulemakings and declaratory rulings specifically pertaining to 222, and we'll get you those exactly.
Are they being implemented right now?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how long it's going to take?
Well, it has been and will always be an ongoing process, but they're being implemented. And
so it takes years to implement this?
Well, I don't know if I would. I think the premise of your question may be that it finishes at some point, and the technology
doesn't finish.
Right.
And it seems like we're being very reactive, and we're not being proactive. We're responding to issues that happened years ago, and what we're trying to do is be in front of it. And if we continue to be reactive, how are we ever going to get ahead of the game?
Actually, I think you're absolutely right about the need to be proactive, and that is the value of having rulemaking authority.
And I agree with that, but the problem that I have is just recently the FCC went all the way back to 1930. So how is that being proactive? I mean, you're wanting to keep the authority and have more authority. We're wanting to move forward. We're wanting to start being proactive, not reactive. You're making the argument that you want to keep it, but the recent actions of going all the way back to 1930 to a rule, how in the world, with today's technology, is that being proactive?
You're referring to the open internet
yes,
order?
Yes, of course I
am. I'll stay disciplined or remain in my lane on that. My focus is ensuring that the laws and policies are in place to ensure that telephone calls go through, that 911 calls have.
So let's finish on this then. Do you really believe the FCC can continue to be proactive, or do you feel like you guys are being reactive?
I think actually we are not only trying to be, but we are being proactive. And I can give you two examples. One is.
No, my time is out, but I'm just going to tell you from my opinion, it looks like we're being extremely reactive. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Johnson, thank you for your time. I yield back.